Charges the suspects are facing do not carry long sentences at all. The conspiracy charges a maximum of 5 years in prison, and the lying to investigators charge from the U.S. citizen 8 years. Let's get some analysis and context on this from criminal defense attorneys Rebecca Rose Woodland and Heather Hansen, who are with us on set. Heather, the news conference this afternoon gave us a lot of information.
A ton of information. We heard from Diaz's attorney, and he stressed the fact that Diaz had cooperated with authorities. The other fact that sort of counterlies that is that he was in custody, and so didn't have a great deal of choice in cooperating with authorities. He also underlined the fact that Diaz had no idea that Jahar was who he was. The thing that contradicts that is the fact that he removed pictures from his Facebook page, apparently, of himself and Jahar prior to being brought in for questioning.
A lot of contradicting information here, Rebecca. These guys knew the suspect. They looked at the television, they saw his picture. They then realized that he had blown up the Boston Marathon, murdered 3 people, injured hundreds, and rather than going, FBI, we have a problem, instead, he tried to cover the tracks.
Not only that, but the American actually waited, it was 10 days after the bombing before he actually said what went on. For over a week, and that's what he's charged with. He's charged with lying to the federal agents.
Which is a more serious charge.
Well, and look at the reason why. I mean, it delayed the investigation. If for 10 days you're lying about this bombing when evidence could be being destroyed, if that landfill had somehow been destroyed and the backpack that they had thrown in there been destroyed, they could have lost that evidence.
Between the time that the government says they looked at the television screen and said, that's my friend who did this, and when that happened, the law enforcement agent from MIT had not yet been murdered. And now we have these charges. Would you anticipate more charges?
Yes, especially as you brought up the state. Going against these guys with regard to the killing of the MIT officer is happening in state court, not federal court. The state court has not pressed charges against these gentlemen at all. Whether or not they could be charged as an accessory to the crime is certainly an option with regard to the killing of the MIT officer. So there's a lot of other potential cases.
And a question, when you make the decision not to call authorities and instead to cover tracks, isn't it possible that they knew in advance?
I don't think they have the evidence for that, because I think that if they did, they would have put it in this complaint. There are the possibility in a future arraignment to have a superseding arraignment to add more charges, but that's rare. You know, they usually put everything that they have. We've talked earlier about that footnote and the fact that there was some idea that this Jahar knew how to build a bomb. But if they had evidence, I think that they would have put it in there.
Imagine the SUV had not run out of gas.
That's right.
And they had headed to Times Square, a packed Times Square, imagine.
And this evidence would have been lost, and that's the real problem with this case, and it's the reason why the lying to federal agents is the greater charge here.
It's terrible.
Yeah, it certainly is, and this is just beginning.
Terrible.
Thank you very much.
You.